Hi, this is Pat Moorhead with More Insights and Strategy, and we are here for an insider edition of our videocast. And I'm here with a special guest, Bryan Martin, Chairman and CTO at 8x8. How are you doing, Bryan?
I'm doing great, Patrick.
Good, good. I appreciate you doing this live as well. And we were talking beforehand, and people I feel like they appreciate it a little bit more when there's no net. We have no net right now.
Definitely more exciting.
Yes, we are broadcasting on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So here we go. Maybe a great place to start is talk a little bit about the company and what you do for the company. I think it'd be great for our listeners.
Yeah, for sure. So 8x8 is a global provider of cloud communications to businesses of all sizes. We sell to small businesses, we sell to huge, Fortune 5 enterprise type customers. And we provide a business phone replacement from the cloud, but we also provide other kind of channels of communication. So team chat and SMS, which is just a fancy word for text messaging. We do video conferencing, video communications, and we do contact center, which is, customer service types of, or can be a sales team, where you've got a density of these communications all coming into an agent pool. And we enable you to work from anywhere, which is has been very much in vogue this year, and work from any device. And so one of the real exciting things to me this year was we went from a third of our users using our soft devices, whether it's a desktop client or a mobile app, to now 2/3 going to 3/4 of our users. That's the preferred mode of doing it. I'm the CTO, as you said, technologist by training. I've been in the communications industry 30 years. And I just love this stuff. I love seeing what our customers can do with the technologies we provide. And it's been really gratifying this year to be out there trying to help these businesses stay in business.
And I was impressed by your bio. You have 65 US patents. You were voted top 100 voices of IP communications. This is great stuff. But thanks again for joining us. And one of the things that I wanted to flash up here was a white paper that we recently wrote about open communications and how 8x8 fits in. And we'll be flashing that afterwards. We'll be putting that in the show notes for you to check out. But let's dive right in. So as you alluded to, COVID-19 has changed a lot of people's experiences, the way we work, the way we govern, the way we go to school. What are some of the things that your customers are asking you for that are different?
Yeah, so I mean, all of that is true, and we're supplying all of those different kind of use cases. Whether it's voice or video or chat, it's really about being able to enable, we had people remote in the field, but we didn't have everyone remote all the time. Yeah. And so it's really about standing up a reliable, a resilient communications function. And we think about it both how employees of the company communicate with each other and how they're going to continue doing their jobs and collaborate and do everything that they used to do in person now that everyone's remote, but also how the company communicates with its customers and its partners and how people outside the company are going to interact with the company in this new world. And so we're solving for both of those use cases. And, I can tell you there were customers of ours who had already deployed us when the lockdown hit, and they didn't miss a beat, literally overnight. Even contact centers, large customer service centers that had never even practiced doing a work from home mode just switched into that mode seamlessly. And then there were a lot of organizations that weren't ready and had, legacy on-premise communications and needed a super quick replacement. And so we've served in both of those roles as well.
You could definitely tell the difference between those who were ready with cloud-enabled systems, where literally within 3 or 4 days or instantaneously, if they had the communications at home, to redeploy their contact centers there. It was pretty astounding for sure.
For sure.
So there's two models that are emerging from UC, a multi-vendor approach and a single vendor approach. This may be a little bit of a leading question, but what do you think are best for companies and why? And yes, we wrote a little bit of this in our paper as well, but I want to make sure that our listeners hear this.
Yeah, so, 8x8, we've always evangelized the single vendor approach. We started in this business just offering, what is called commonly unified communications, which is call it a business phone replacement, but very quickly saw that contact center and those customer service functions belong together. And then we just kept layering, and our, it was really driven by our customers saying, well, can you guys do call recording? Can you give me analytics? Can you give me integrations and automations to the rest of my back office? And so over, more than 10 years now, we've been integrating all of this onto a common single platform. And you can buy everything from us. It's one vendor relationship. It's one hand to shake. It could be one throat to choke if I'm not delivering the services you need, but hopefully it's one hand to shake all the time. And that's how we see the world. Having said that, there are, I call them pillars of business that are out there, right? It's companies like Slack that kind of took over the developer community, companies like Zoom that became a verb for video. And if you've got an established pillar that's in there, our platform's modular. We'll work around whatever functionality you don't want to change and still provide you all the rest. And that way, over time, you have our option for video built in if and when that makes sense. So that's kind of how we think about the world, but definitely every CIO out there is thinking about these things right now and what their strategy is for down the road where they want to be in a few years.
Yeah, it's interesting. There has been a lot more acceptance for single vendor solutions when it comes down to the experience, because you can do anything with APIs, but sometimes there is a need for one person to contact when you have issues, and there's even offshoots of businesses in observability that just shows that in some circumstances there are challenges with API-based experiences, but that leads us to a desire for a level of openness if it's going to be a single vendor solution. And open might seem obvious, like I said before, but how strong of a request is this? Because I do see pretty strong proprietary systems out there.
Yeah, I think open is super important, and it's more important the bigger the organization is. And the reason for that is you're always wanting to integrate the communications functionality and platform with the rest of your office. And the more automation you can drive in there, you've got a CRM deployed. And if we can make sure every call into my call center gets automatically logged, automatically recorded, get all that data time-stamped and put directly into the customer record in the CRM, those are some of the things most larger businesses want today. And it's just kind of table stakes to do this. So we work with companies like Salesforce.com, NetSuite, et cetera, making sure those automations are there. The other place we're seeing a lot of requests for open is people that are trying to now incorporate communications into their actual business flows and business processes. And 8x8's really invested the last couple of years in what's called, the acronym is CPaaS, it's Communication Platform as a Service, but it really enables you to embed messaging and texting, phone calls, and even video into those flows so that you're serving your customer base even better.
Yeah, and it's funny, there's always two edges to everything, and a lot some people will throw up okay, if it's open, it can't be secure. And I'd love for you to comment on how you can be secure and how you can be open at the same time.
Yeah, and part of it goes back to that single vendor play, because if you've only got 8x8 to worry about, and frankly, you don't have to worry about 8x8 because we worry about 8x8 for you, but you don't have to go through and look at security of different systems and how they're sharing information. Security has been first and foremost a struggle for us in the cloud. There was the easy way out would have been to always put the data, the call recordings, whatever it is, on-prem behind a firewall and just say, no, we're not going to do that. But we really followed, cloud best practices to say, no, let's figure out how to do this out in the cloud. And security has become so much more important now that those employees are everywhere on devices that aren't under the company control. We have seen, one great sign of how well we're doing in security. We have seen very conservative, what I would call late adopter institutions, and these are things like finance, medical, universities, all sorts of very security sensitive clients actually moving to the cloud. And banks in particular, I saw this start about 18 months ago, so even pre-pandemic. And I would ask those CIOs, I've been trying to sell to you for 20 years, why are you now moving to the cloud? And the answer always comes back the same, which is, Brian, we now believe that cloud communications is actually more secure than us trying to run this ourselves on premise part-time. And so 8x8, we've got nearly 2,000 employees around the world, every one of which is making sure that our platform is secure and our customers' data is secure. And that's, it's actually, I do believe it's more secure than going other avenues.
Yeah, I've seen this in other parts of our research as well, where it went from the cloud isn't secure enough to the cloud is the most secure place because the budgets of these hackers and the nation that they have behind them in many ways can only be matched by very large clouds.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. These hackers are some of the smartest people on the planet, and if I could ever catch one, I would hire them because I would love to have them working with us, not against us. But yeah, it's a very serious topic, and again, something that from day one we've worried about.
Yeah, and you do know when you see regulated industries starting to jump on that the coast is likely clear because the fines for getting breached and also the corresponding results are pretty ugly. And the other part is privacy. I mean, yeah. The fines for privacy for the previous 6 months before COVID were actually higher than the losses on security based on GDPR. And, while I've, the last 30 years, I've always separated security and privacy in a way they're interlinked, that if you get a security breach and it creates a privacy issue for you, it's another financial and customer liability.
For sure. And we've been on that GDPR journey. It's not something that ever ends. It continues to roll along. About a third of our employees are in Europe. And, even the UK Brexit, that caused, we had to shift strategies of, okay, where are we going to fail over? Where are we going to store the backup of different data? So it's a continuing challenge. But again, working with a cloud communications provider like 8x8, you're actually outsourcing a lot of that headache to us, and we'll provide you with whatever audit trail you need to satisfy yourself that we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, one of the benefits of open, it's interesting, it's single vendor open, is that you can mix and match some capabilities. You had referred to some of them before. Can you talk about some of the integrations that you're enabling?
Yeah, so mix and match is a kind of a unique value, I think, of 8x8's offer. We allow you, first of all, at the employee level to mix and match the capabilities. And so you can really cost optimize your solution. You don't have to, a lot of the cloud offers that are out there, you buy one size for every employee and it's the same price. And you don't have that ability to customize. But we also see mix and match come into play when we're starting to work with other communication tools. I talked about those pillars. And one of those pillars that's really taken off in the last 12 months is Microsoft Teams. And there are a lot of IT leaders and CIOs that have chosen, look, I've got this Microsoft Teams experience. The software is there. It's global. I have access to it around the world. Every employee can use it. And we just saw that take off. Usually in the early days, it was people using Teams for either chat and competing with Slack, or they were using it for the video experience. But it was communications within the enterprise. And 8x8 came along when we saw that and actually developed a solution that provides 8x8's voice platform for Microsoft Teams. So you can bring our enterprise class, everything we do, everything I've talked about, but still use that Microsoft Teams experience as the user-facing client. And that's been hugely successful. We're deploying that globally now, tens of thousands of seats just last quarter alone. And the great thing about mix and match in that context is maybe not all your employees have a Teams license. Maybe you've got phones on a factory floor that it doesn't make any sense to have a Teams experience there. And then you can mix and match the 8x8 endpoints for those users or those seats and not have to have Teams across the organization.
Yeah, and Brian, just for the audience to give an idea just how rapid the rise was, Teams started at about 5 million daily active users, and I think the last time they brought out numbers, 115 million daily active users. Most of them are paying customers.
Yeah, it's an absolute hockey stick.
It's just amazing. So, Brian, you now have to go after those 115 million. That's your target market right there. So you can mix and match with things like Teams, but my understanding of your platform is you can also extend through APIs and apps as well. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's different from, let's say, mix and match?
Yeah, so I think the two ends of the spectrum here is, you're buying a communication solution that is out of the box and it just does what it does and you have no ability to change it. At the other end of the spectrum, there's companies like AWS that have taken an approach of like, no, I'm just going to give you a programming platform and you go write everything yourself. And what 8x8 is what we believe the right path is right in the middle. Give you something out of the box that's going to work on day one. It's all set up for you. It's complete. It does everything, in the contact center example that you need in a contact center. It's omni-channel. It just works. But you can still modify how the call flows work. You can customize how we're going to process an interaction so that it works with your business, with your process flow, with your tools. And change what we do out of the box and really customize that. And about half, roughly, of the organizations we work with in the IT land have these development resources, and they want to be able to embed our communications into a bigger platform or a better offering. And so that's where that extendability and customization comes into play.
Yeah, so maybe you offer PaaS and you also are a SaaS play. Right? You can do both. And depending on kind of where you want to start, people looking for a SaaS play, you're customizable. People are looking for a PaaS play, you have something to start with. So kind of like the Three Bears. So, with everybody working all over the place, and it seems like the more kind of data that we're working with, data can be all over the place. And if data is all over the place, it's hard to work on. So what is 8x8 doing to have a common data layer to be able to work on?
Yeah, so this is probably the biggest functional advantage of having a single communications platform. As you said, every stage of an interaction, let's say a customer calls our main corporate number in North America, maybe an auto attendant answers that after hours. They press 1 to go into sales. A salesperson picks up and realizes, oh, this is an existing customer. Let me transfer them to support to solve their problem. If you have different systems, every one of those jumps is going to lose the track that customer is on, the journey that they're taking in communicating with your company. If you have a single platform, we actually see that, and we see it across all different modes of communication. So again, maybe this person's calling us today, but they texted us last week, and they sent us an email the week before. Being able to piece all of that together. So I can go into this common data layer and say, hey, how, and it's not just my extension, maybe I want to mine. Who at 8x8 has talked to someone at Wells Fargo in the last year? And I can simply run that query and get all those different interactions and really learn. And the power of this is we're trying to use that data so that a business can understand itself better and ultimately make itself more efficient. And there's a lot of great R&D that's going on. There's a lot of applications for AI and machine learning because there's so much data in there. You think about the amount of data we're looking at, every interaction and every channel on all these different devices. That's where AI machine learning really comes into play to help you understand the data.
And what are your thoughts on this common data layer and securing it and keeping it private? Is there a method you've ascribed to, given you do have a lot of regulated customers coming in?
Yeah, we've got a giant internal CISO team. That is what they do. They work hand in hand with our development team. And, again, 8x8, another unique thing, right? We own everything that we're providing to our customers. So if there's some problem with how it's processing data, it's our fault and we're going to fix it. But it's again, that's the value you're getting is leverage my experts to do that work for you so that you as an IT leader can go off and find other ways to add value to the business and let 8x8 secure that communications data.
Oh, that's good to hear because that's obviously super important.
Absolutely.
So, Bryan, I wanted to throw a little bit of I want to end this on a high note. You talk to a lot of customers who have had a very trying time during COVID, and I was wondering if you had any words of wisdom for them in navigating the new normal.
So I don't know if that's a high note or not. Every CIO, every IT leader basically got I call it a grade. You were given a grade back in the spring as to how ready you were. And some of the IT leaders out there failed that test, and they had about 30 to 60 days to stand something up and get it right. I think as we get into 2021, you're going to see more of these challenges. I think working in a hybrid mode is going to become a challenge. I think how collaboration happens longer term is going to continue to be a challenge. And so, my advice would be, you now have a chance to catch your breath and actually start planning out the next 12 to 24 months. The CIOs I know are all thinking much longer term now, like what do we really want to have, next? And you've got an opportunity to kind of take those steps now and put the right platform and technology strategy in place so that you're ready, because I think there'll be another grade coming. And unfortunately, and it's just, there's some things about this where business is better and we'll probably not go back to doing things the way we did, but there's some real challenges out there. And how you keep a company's culture, how I onboard new employees when we're never meeting them face to face. There's a lot of things that 8x8 continues to drive research and development to solve those problems for our customers before they encounter them on the road.
Yeah. Well, listen, I feel like solving problems and helping people is uplifting. And I think any words of wisdom to help kind of get us back to, the new normal, whatever it is. And with that, Bryan, I want to thank you so much. I thought it was very insightful, even though that I did the research paper on it, on open communication platforms and the role that your company is playing in that. And I wanted to plug our white paper again. If you want more information on that, go to our website, www.mooreinsightsstrategy.com, or just do a Google search if it's too gangly for you. But with that, I really do appreciate that, Bryan.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for having us on today.
Absolutely. And for more insights and strategy, this is Patrick Moorhead signing out. If you like what you heard, press that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and have a great day.